Welcome back to our channel History Coins HD. As you that old is gold, but these rare $quarter coins that are most valuable than you think, don't spend one of them. You're lucky if you have one of these, so please watch complete video and find your treasure. Let's start this. Coin number 1. Today, we're diving deep into the story of a seemingly ordinary piece of American pocket change, one that, if you're lucky enough to own it, could be worth a small fortune. Yes, we're talking about the United States Washington $quarter from the year 1966. Now, at first glance, this coin might not grab your attention. It's not made of gold. It doesn't shine with silver. And let's face it, millions were minted. But here's the thing, in the world of coin collecting, rarity isn't always about how many were made. Sometimes, it's about how few remain in the right condition, or how many carry a hidden flaw that turns them from ordinary into extraordinary. Let's roll back the clock to 1966. The United States was in the middle of a cultural revolution, civil rights movements, the Vietnam War, and a rapidly changing economy were reshaping the nation. And amid all of that, the U.S. Mint was making a big decision. Just the year before, in 1965, the government had removed silver from circulating dimes and quarters due to rising metal costs. For the first time, quarters like the one from 1966 were minted using a copper-nickel plaid composition. This might sound like a small detail, but for collectors, it's a big deal. Why? Because 1966 quarters marked a transition. And transitional years in coinage are often full of surprises, and now, while hundreds of millions of these new clad quarters were produced, the mint didn't release any proof sets or mint sets in 1966. Instead, they issued what were called special mint sets, intended for collectors, but lacking the pristine polish of a full-proof set. These conditions led to many 1966 quarters being handled roughly, making high-quality, uncirculated versions quite scarce today. But there's more. Over the years, experts and collectors have discovered certain 1966 quarters with unusual characteristics, minting errors, double dies, and even rare off-center strikes. Some coins display dramatic misalignments in the lettering or doubling in the date and inscriptions. Others appear to have retained traces of the silver planchets from prior years. Each of these quirks adds immense collector value, and here's something most people don't realize: a small handful of these quarters were struck with such precision and preserved so carefully that they've achieved what's known in the collector world as a high mint state grade. Coins like these, those that escape the wear and tear of circulation, can stand out at coin shows and auctions, grabbing the attention of serious collectors and investors alike. Now imagine stumbling across one of these rare, high-grade, error-marked 1966 Washington quarters. It might look like any other coin in your drawer, until someone with a trained eye sees its true potential. These coins have become legendary within the coin collecting community. Not because of flashy metal or dramatic design, but because they represent a hidden treasure, something valuable hiding in plain sight. And in today's market, where collectors are always chasing the next big discovery, these coins are commanding prices that would have seemed unthinkable just a decade ago. You might be wondering, what's a coin like this really worth? Well, get ready, because if you happen to have a 1966 Washington quarter that has been graded in top mint state condition, especially with rare errors or striking anomalies, you could be looking at a payday between $18,000 and $60,000. Yes, you heard that correctly, $18,000 to $60,000 for a single 25-cent piece. It's a life-changing amount of money for something that could be hiding in your change jar, tucked away in an old drawer, or passed down from a relative without anyone realizing its true value. So, the next time you come across a Washington quarter from 1966, don't just toss it aside. Take a close look. Examine the date. Check for any unusual markings. And if it looks promising, consider having it graded by a professional. That tiny coin could be your ticket to a remarkable windfall. If you enjoyed uncovering the mystery behind this rare quarter, make sure to subscribe for more deep dives into valuable coins that could be hiding right under your nose. Hit the like button if you've learned something new today, and tap the notification bell so you'll never miss our next treasure hunt. Coin number 2, we're digging into one of the most overlooked and underappreciated coins in American history, the 1967 Washington quarter dollar. It's not flashy. It's not silver. But beneath its copper-nickel surface lies a story of rarity, mystery, and potential fortune. Let's go back to the late 1960s, a time of turbulence and transformation across the United States. The Vietnam War, the space race, civil rights movements, all were defining the era. And amidst it all, the U.S. Mint was undergoing its own dramatic shift. In 1965, due to rising silver prices, the Mint made the controversial decision to remove silver from circulating quarters and replace it with a copper-nickel clad composition. By 1967, the transition was in full effect, but with some very unique consequences for coin collectors. You see, in 1967, the Mint was still trying to stop people from hoarding coins for their silver value. To discourage collecting, they didn't produce any traditional proof sets or uncirculated coin sets that year. Instead, they released something called Special Mint Sets, or SMS. These sets were better than your average pocket change, but not quite the shining perfection of true proof coins. But here's the twist. Not all quarters minted in 1967 were created equal, most were mass-produced for circulation and handled roughly. These are the ones we see every day. But a select few, an extremely small number, were minted with such precision, or under such rare conditions, that they now stand out like diamonds in the rough. Some of the most valuable 1967 quarters today are those that have been preserved in nearly perfect condition. Coins that never saw circulation. Coins that somehow escaped scratches, dings, and the grime of daily use. These are the high-grade mint state coins. And among them, a few even feature unusual characteristics like double dies, missing mint marks, or mistruck edges. That's where the magic begins. There are verified cases of 1967 quarters being discovered with sharp, deep details and mirror-like finishes, coins that somehow resemble proof coins even though the Mint claimed none were made that year. These are the mysterious high-quality strikes that collectors dream of. Then there are the true oddities, error coins. We're talking about off-center strikes, partial collars, and other strange mishaps that can happen during the minting process. Because there were no mint marks on quarters in 1967, it's impossible to trace them back to a specific location, but these rare anomalies still surface from time to time, stunning collectors and auction houses alike. Imagine walking into a flea market, rummaging through an old box of coins, and pulling out a quarter that looks a little too perfect, a little too crisp, or just a little off. You take it home, do some research, maybe get it graded, and then you find out you've been holding onto a national treasure in your palm. And this isn't just fantasy. Some of the rarest 1967 Washington quarters, in pristine condition or with rare minting errors, have sold for extraordinary sums of money. Coins that cost just 25 cents at the time of minting are now the centerpiece of private collections and auction showrooms. So what does that mean for you? It means if you're sitting on a stash of old coins, maybe handed down from a parent or grandparent, or forgotten in a jar somewhere, you could be holding something far more valuable than pocket change. Pay close attention to your quarters from 1967. Look for coins that are unusually well preserved, especially with full details in George Washington's hair, crisp rims, and clean surfaces. And if you find something that seems too perfect to be real, or shows signs of a possible mint error, it's worth getting it professionally graded, because the truth is, even without silver, even without a mint mark, a rare and high-grade 1967 Washington quarter can still be a life-changing discovery. And now for the moment you've been waiting for. If you're lucky enough to find one of these rare quarters in exceptional mint condition, or with those elusive minting errors, its value could soar. Anywhere from $15,000 all the way up to $55,000. Yes, you heard that right. $15,000 to $55,000 for a single quarter. So next time you see one of these humble coins in your change, take a closer look. It might just be the most valuable 25 cents you've ever come across. If you found this video eye-opening, make sure to give it a thumbs up and share it with fellow coin enthusiasts. Don't forget to subscribe for more stories about rare coins, hidden treasures, and forgotten currency worth a fortune. And tap that bell icon so you'll never miss another chance to uncover something truly priceless. Coin number 3, most people toss quarters into jars, vending machines, or parking meters without a second thought. But today, you're about to discover that one specific coin, an ordinary-looking Washington quarter from 1974, could be hiding a secret that makes it worth a small fortune. That's right. The 1974 Washington quarter dollar. At first glance, it looks like any other quarter you've seen 1,000 times. Copper nickel clad. No silver. No dazzling luster. But the truth is, this coin holds far more mystery than most collectors realize. Let's rewind to 1974. The United States was still recovering from the aftershocks of the Vietnam War. President Richard Nixon had just resigned amid the Watergate scandal. Inflation was rising, and the country was facing an energy crisis. And while all this chaos unfolded on the national stage, the US Mint was quietly producing millions of coins, quarters among them, that would be used in everyday transactions across the country. The Washington quarter, originally introduced in 1932, had become a mainstay of American currency. By 1974, the design remained mostly unchanged, the familiar profile of George Washington on the front, and the majestic eagle with spread wings on the reverse. But here's where it gets interesting. Despite the mass production of quarters that year, over 800 million were struck. Certain 1974 quarters have become incredibly valuable. And it all comes down to condition, errors, and mystery. You see, the vast majority of coins struck in 1974 entered immediate circulation. They clinked through cash registers, got jumbled in jars, and wore down over time. But a small number of them somehow managed to avoid that fate. These rare survivors are in stunning condition, what collectors call mint state. Their surfaces are sharp and clean, with no scratches, nicks, or handling damage. Every detail of Washington's portrait is perfectly preserved. These are the coins that grab attention at auctions, but there's more. Some 1974 Washington quarters feature striking errors that dramatically increase their value. We're talking about doubled dies, off-center strikes, and other rare minting mistakes that only occur once in a while, but when they do, they turn a common coin into a prized collectible. One of the most talked about varieties is a 1974 quarter that appears to have been struck on the wrong planchet. Imagine a quarter that weighs slightly differently, or sounds different when dropped on a hard surface. That's often the first clue that something unusual is going on. Others have found quarters with subtle doubling in the words "In God We Trust" or in Washington's eye and neck, an extremely rare error known as a double die obverse. Coins like these are hard to spot without a magnifying glass, but if you find one, you're holding onto something few people in the world own. Even without errors, a 1974 quarter in exceptional condition, graded high by professional services like PCGS or NGC, can command premium prices. Why? Because most people didn't preserve coins from that year. They weren't considered special. They weren't silver. And yet, here we are, with collectors now hunting for them with feverish energy. Imagine discovering a coin like this in a collection passed down from a relative, or tucked inside an old bank envelope from decades ago, or even in your pocket change, unnoticed until now. It sounds far-fetched, but stories like these are real. Collectors and dealers across the country have confirmed them. And now, with coin collecting growing more popular than ever, the value of rare quarters, especially from transitional years like 1974, is only going up. So what should you be looking for? Start with the basics. Examine any 1974 quarter you come across. Check the date carefully. Look for sharp edges, clean fields, and strong detail in Washington's hair and the eagle's feathers. Use a magnifying glass to look for unusual markings or signs of doubling. Weigh it if you can. And if it seems special, get it graded by a reputable coin grading service, because here's the incredible truth: a rare 1974 Washington quarter dollar, whether due to pristine uncirculated condition, a rare mint error, or an unusual variety, can fetch between $10,000 and $45,000 on the open market. Yes, you heard that right. $10,000 to $45,000 for a single 25-cent coin. That's the magic of coin collecting. It's not just about metal and numbers, it's about history, mystery, and the thrill of discovery. And you don't need to be a professional to find something valuable. Sometimes, all it takes is a little curiosity, and a closer look at what you already have. If you found this video fascinating, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel for more amazing coin stories. Drop a comment if you've ever come across an unusual quarter, or better yet, if you've got one from 1974 lying around. You might just be sitting on a hidden treasure. Coin number 4, we're diving into one of the most fascinating and surprising stories in modern American coinage. The 1982 D Washington quarter might not look like much at first glance, but it holds one of the most overlooked values in U.S. coin history. Let's start with a bit of context. The year was 1982. The United States was in the middle of a recession. Inflation was rising. Unemployment was high. And the mint? Well, they were under pressure too. Rising metal prices and budget cuts forced the U.S. Mint to make some big changes. That year, they stopped producing mint sets, those carefully packaged collector sets of uncirculated coins that had been a tradition for years, and that one decision changed everything. Without mint sets, the only quarters from 1982 that survived in uncirculated condition were the ones people happened to pull out of circulation by chance, or the few that were carefully saved before they could be damaged in day-to-day use. What does that mean? It means that most 1982 quarters, especially the ones from the Denver Mint, the ones marked with a tiny D, are incredibly hard to find in pristine condition. Most were used and abused. They picked up scratches, dents, and dings. They lived their lives doing what coins are supposed to do, getting spent, and that's where the opportunity lies, because today, finding a 1982 D quarter in near perfect condition, a coin that's sharp, untouched, and professionally graded as high mint state, is incredibly rare. And rare is the magic word when it comes to coin collecting, but there's more. In 1982, another unusual thing happened. The US Mint had just fully transitioned into the copper nickel clad coins, which replaced the old 90% silver coins of earlier decades. But here's the catch: coins from this era often suffer from what collectors call weak strikes and loss of detail. That means even fewer 1982 D quarters were struck with enough clarity and sharpness to be considered collector grade today. Add to that a few wildcards, error coins. Yes, there are 1982 D quarters out there with strange minting mistakes. Some have off-center strikes, double dies, or odd planchet issues. One well-known type is the no mint mark error, which has shown up on other 1982 quarters, though it's more common in Philadelphia coins. But every once in a while, something slips through at the Denver Mint, too, and those mistakes? They're worth money. A lot of it, but here's the part that shocks most people. A quarter from 1982, something so recent that it feels modern, can actually command massive attention at auctions if it checks all the right boxes: pristine condition, strong strike, or rare minting error. You could easily hold one in your hand and not even realize it. It might be in a box of coins you inherited. It might be stuck between the cushions of your couch. Or, it might be sitting in a drawer, waiting to be discovered. So how can you tell if your 1982 D quarter is valuable? Start with the basics. Look for the D mint mark on the right side of Washington's ponytail. Then, examine the condition. Is it sharp? Are all the details visible, especially in Washington's hair, the eagle's feathers, and the lettering? If it looks too perfect to be from regular circulation, it might be worth a closer look. Use a magnifier. Check for doubling. The coin errors sometimes show up on planchets meant for other denominations, and that slight difference in weight can make all the difference. And if it looks promising, send it to a professional grading service like PCGS or NGC. That's where the real value starts to shine, because here's the truth: a 1982 D Washington quarter in high-grade uncirculated condition, or with a rare minting error, can be worth anywhere from $7,000 to $38,000, yes. You heard that correctly, $7,000 to $38,000, for a single quarter. Think about that. That's enough for a car, a year of college tuition, even a down payment on a home. All from a single coin that most people wouldn't give a second glance. It's proof that treasure isn't always buried underground or locked in a vault. Sometimes, it's hiding in the most ordinary of places, right in your pocket. So the next time you get a quarter in change, don't just toss it aside. Look at the date. Check the mint mark. Take a moment to examine it. You never know what you might be holding. If you enjoyed this deep dive into one of America's hidden coin treasures, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel for more stories just like this one. Share this with a friend who might be sitting on a jackpot without even knowing it. And don't forget to comment below. Who knows, maybe you've got a 1982 D quarter already waiting to be discovered. Coin number 5. Have you ever wondered if the loose change sitting in your pocket or hiding in an old jar could be worth more than you ever imagined? What if I told you that a single Washington quarter, minted in 1983, could be worth thousands of dollars today? It sounds unbelievable, but it's true. And the story of this one little coin, the 1983 D Washington quarter, is one of the most surprising tales in modern American coin collecting. So sit tight and get ready to look at your change in a whole new way. Let's start by traveling back to 1983. The United States was coming out of a tough economic period. The early 80s had been hit with high inflation and a deep recession. Interest rates were sky high, unemployment was still recovering, and people were tightening their belts in every way possible, including the US Mint. In fact, 1983 marked one of the most unusual years in recent coinage history. Due to federal budget cuts and growing economic pressure, the Mint made a key decision that would unknowingly turn a simple quarter into a rare collector's prize. That year, no official mint sets were released for collectors. That's right. Unlike most years, where uncirculated coins were included in neat little government-issued sets, 1983 had none. No protective packaging. No mint-sealed folders. Just everyday coins pushed into circulation, tossed into registers, and pocketed by millions. That means almost every 1983 Washington quarter that was minted went straight into use. It jingled in pockets. It paid for snacks, gas, and groceries. It clattered in coin trays and cash drawers. And over time, it wore down just like any other coin would. But here's the twist. Because there were no mint sets and no special releases, finding a 1983 quarter in exceptional, uncirculated condition is incredibly rare. Most were scratched, dented, or worn down. Only a few were pulled aside by sharp-eyed collectors who somehow knew decades ago that this coin might become something special. Today, those few survivors are turning heads in the collecting world, and it's not just the condition that makes them valuable. There's another detail, a flaw that became an unexpected goldmine. Some 1983 quarters show signs of striking errors or planchet problems, thanks to the high-speed minting process and lack of quality control during that era. These include doubled dies, off-center strikes, and surface anomalies that collectors drool over. One of the most famous examples? A 1983 quarter struck on a transitional or defective planchet, resulting in an odd surface texture and weak strike. These errors are extremely rare, and when certified by grading experts, they can drive collectors into bidding wars. But even without errors, even without flaws, a pristine 1983 quarter, graded mint state 65 or higher, is worth serious money. Why? Because it just shouldn't exist in such perfect shape. It's the survival factor. Its rarity created not by age, not by precious metal, but by neglect, by the mint deciding not to preserve these coins for future generations. Let's talk design for a moment, because it's important. Like all Washington quarters since 1932, the obverse of the 1983 features the iconic profile of George Washington. It's a timeless design by sculptor John Flanagan, showing the first president facing left, the word Liberty overhead, and the date 1983 below. Look to the right side of Washington's ponytail and you'll see a tiny D mint mark, indicating it was struck at the Denver Mint. On the reverse is the proud American bald eagle, wings spread wide, perched on a bundle of arrows with olive branches below, symbolizing both peace and strength. It's a powerful image, one that reflects America's values. But on the 1983 quarter, this familiar design takes on new meaning, because it's not just a patriotic symbol anymore, it might also be a hidden fortune. Think about this. How many times have you handled a quarter without even glancing at the year or mint mark? How many 1983 coins might have passed through your hands without you knowing what they were truly worth? Well, after today, you'll never look at a quarter the same way again. So here's what you need to do: start checking your change. Go through your old coin jars, piggy banks, and dresser drawers. Dig out those long-forgotten rolls of coins stashed in boxes from years ago. And if you find a 1983 Washington quarter, stop and take a closer look. Is the coin in excellent condition? Does it have strong luster, minimal contact marks, and sharp details in the eagle's feathers and Washington's hair? Does the strike look unusually clean or crisp? If it looks flawless, it's worth getting it authenticated and graded by a professional service like PCGS or NGC, because here's the moment you've been waiting for: a rare, high-grade 1983 Washington quarter, especially one with a clean surface, no wear, or a striking error, can be worth anywhere from $5,000 to $30,000, yes, $5,000 to $30,000. For one quarter, and the best part? There's no telling where the next one might be hiding. It could be sitting in your house right now. It could be in your wallet. It could be the next quarter you get in change at the grocery store. That's what makes this hobby so exciting. The mystery. The possibility. The thrill of discovering something rare in the most unexpected place. If you enjoyed this video and want to uncover more hidden treasures from US coin history, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you never miss a story. Let us know in the comments if you've come across any coins from 1983, or if you're inspired to start your own search. Thanks for watching. And always remember, never underestimate what might be hiding in your spare change.